You are listening to the Mohua show, where it's all about celebrating the Junoon among changemakers and their journey.
40% of the world did not have a toilet in 2001. And when I saw that, I was shocked. Like, how can people don't have toilet and nobody wants to talk about it? So I asked the UN and they say, we can't talk about it because it's a brown issue. We want to talk about blue and green issue. Toilet is embarrassing and we will never get any fundraising if we talk about toilet. So the way to change it is to get the politician to use toilet as a election agenda. At first, it was Jairam Ramesh who got Vidya Balan. And then later on, when Prime Minister Modi started to do it much bigger with Swachh Bharat, then all the rest came in. That the most important thing to do is the thing that nobody wants to do. Don't follow the trend because so many things are neglected. Pick up those that nobody wants to do.
Hi, in today's episode, we have with us someone very special. He turned a taboo into a movement, a necessity into a right, and a personal story into a global revolution. In a world where billions of people still lack access to safe sanitation, Jack Sim reminds us that gumption, not just genius, is what changes the world. From founding the World Toilet Organization to dreaming of a Broadway-style show on sanitation, Jack is here to break the silence one flush at a time. Stay tuned as we dive into systems change, taboo busting, climate resilience, and how you can make an impact from anywhere in the world. And I'm extremely honored to have you here with me today, Jack. You have to tell us what inspired you to focus your energy on something as overlooked as toilets and sanitation.
So toilet is actually something we go to every day. A normal person goes 6 to 8 times a day, and we don't talk about it because we think it's embarrassing. But when you don't talk about something, the problem manifests and accumulated. So 40% of the world did not have a toilet in 2001. And when I saw that, I was shocked. Like, how can people don't have toilet and nobody wants to talk about it? And also, 2 million people die of diarrhea every year. So I asked the UN and they say, we call it a water agenda. I say, when you say water, who will know that it includes sanitation? He says, yeah, we don't talk about it because it's a brown issue. We want to talk about blue and green issue. Toilet is embarrassing and we will never get any fundraising if we talk about toilet. So I say, in that case, I have to do it. So I sold all my businesses and I devote 100% free of charge. Last 28 years, I created Restroom Association of Singapore, then 3 years later, World Toilet Organization. And in the last 25 years, we brought toilet to 2.5 billion people.
Amazing, Jack. Jack, you began as a very successful businessman. So, what prompted you to shift into social entrepreneurship and public health advocacy? I mean, was it a tough choice, or how did you reach this point in your life?
So, when I was 24, I started my first business. I realized that the business is quite easy to make money. So, I started 16 companies, which are all profitable. By the time I'm 40, I have enough money to retire. And then I thought, okay, if you don't have money, you sell your time to buy money because your time is cheaper than money. But when you have money, then selling your time, which is priceless, time is the only currency of your life. When you finish spending all your time, you're dead, right? So if it's so precious, I cannot sell a precious thing for money that is less precious. Because I'm a good businessman, I cannot do a loss-making business giving time for money that I'm not going to use. So what is a better way of spending this currency called time? And it is service. And then I look for the service that nobody want to talk about, nobody want to take care, and that is toilets. And I felt that this is a role that the most important thing to do is the thing that nobody wants to do. Don't follow the trend because so many things are neglected. Pick up those that nobody wants to do.
So sanitation is still taboo, in many parts of the world. How did you learn to break the silence and open up to this conversation across cultures? Because many people, even in India today, even today, don't want to talk about toilets. That's something that you really do, your daily chores, but you don't talk about it.
So the way to change it is to get the politician to use toilet as a election agenda. And politicians, they are always looking for which agenda that will give them the most popularity. So how to make toilet a popular agenda is to first drive the demand with the media. So we have World Toilet Summit, we get President Abdul Kalam, 6 ministers to host our World Toilet Summit in the Bigembawan. We work with Bindeshwar Patak of the Sulap International. We have the Crown Prince of the Netherlands to come to Delhi to grace the occasion, and the World Health Organization. From that event in 2007, we suddenly have so much media coverage that all the politicians in India start to use the toilet as a election issue. And of course, they supported further World Toilet Summit, and we appear with all these movie stars like Vidya Balan, Kauki Cochin, Salman Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, Akshay Kumar, uh, uh, this long list, and later on, Jay-Z, Coldplay, they came to Mumbai to perform. So I think the momentum became very large and it created a life of its own.
Whose idea was this, Jack? To bring in all the movie stars and to really make this like an agenda, for politicians?
At first, it was Jairam Ramesh who got Vidya Balan. And then later on, when Prime Minister Modi started to do it much bigger with Swachh Bharat, then all the rest came in. And eventually, Akshay Kumar did two blockbuster movies. One is Toilet, A Love Story, and the other one is Padman,
Yeah.
menstrual hygiene. And then everything went crazy. So we have, I think it's not a one-man effort. It is a lot of people effort. And then Reckitt Benckiser came to support with their Harpic World Toilet College, which we train and place like 35,000 sanitation workers, and we give them jobs. So I think the momentum just keep on building because success breeds success, but somebody have to start it. And eventually we created the United Nations World Toilet Day. Our founding day became a UN day, officially adopted by 193 countries. So I think that's
Amazing.
a big milestone.
Huge milestone. So, what was one of the most, surprising or absurd challenges you faced when trying to get governments, or organizations to take toilets seriously? I'm sure it must not have been such an easy walk like you're telling me right now, Jack.
So life is not about easy or difficult. It is about fun or boring. So anything that is easy is boring. Anything that is difficult is fun when it has meaning, it has purpose. So when there is this purpose, we chase it, and eventually everybody join in. So if you ask me how many times I got rejected and why, how many people laugh at me, I don't care. I also don't remember. I only remember that eventually it succeeds.
That's a huge lesson for all of us here. Your organization, the World Toilet, organization has grown into a global movement. So which project or initiative are you most proud of and why? You need to tell our listeners that.
Well, in the beginning, I was very shocked when we first started the World Toilet Summit in Singapore, and that overnight it became a sensation, and the whole world is writing about it. So I realized that I have a particular power in speaking in soundbite. In a very short time, we can pass a message. Secondly, that we use the pun on WTO, which sounds like the World Trade Organization, and it was a very successful guerrilla marketing strategy. And it's a man bite dog story. And then for the last 20 over years, it just keep growing more and more. And eventually, the media called me Mr. Toilet. And that moniker stuck with me. And now I'm always called Mr. Toilet.
Across diverse interventions, like Cambodia's community-led total sanitation, or floating communities on Tonle Sap Lake, or China's toilet revolution, what patterns or ingredients have you found are the key to success? You must share that with us.
I think each situation you have to always understand the people's aspiration and their fear. So, for example, in Cambodia, we saw that the government has no money, but that doesn't matter. The people have money, but they don't want to build toilet. But so we started a program called Sani Shop. We teach the uh, village gossipers. Every village in the world has gossipers. For some reason, I don't know why there is.
Everywhere, not just villages, even in cities, you have gossipers. Come
So,
on, Jack.
so I realized that the gossipers are actually talent. And nowadays we call them influencer. It's the same. And so we tell the gossipers, you go around gossiping that people who don't have toilet are looked down by the people at toilet. And every time you sell a toilet, you will earn $3 commission from the mason shop which produced the toilet. So you take a deposit, you give to the mason shop, he will give you $3, and you continue gossiping. And now you are gossiping for good, because if we didn't give you this job, you are gossiping about people quarreling, family conflict, and who is borrowing money from who. That's not very nice. But now your talent is put to good use, and they love it. They earn money.
God, Jack. So let's just talk now about climate, okay? How is sanitation not just a public health issue, but also a climate and environmental issue?
Well, if you don't treat the shit, it goes to the river. It pollute the water.
Yeah.
And then you will have to go filter it. You will have to do a lot of things to get it back to clean water. Of course, you use energy, you use this a lot of costs. And if you don't do it, you create a lot of illnesses. So I think that although climate change is a big umbrella issue, we should focus that anything that improves the sustainable development goal of the people, in this case, goal number 6.2, water and sanitation, then we should do it. And I think we have very, very good success on the SDG 6.2, and the world is now much more normal when they address the sanitation issue.
So no, let's talk about the role of global sanitation crisis and CSR efforts. How do you think that companies come into play in this?
So in India, there's a good thing that you have to spend 2% of your profit for CSR. And I think they spend it in a good way when they spend it on sanitation, because if you spend on, let's say, something that create you, every dollar you spend, you get like $1 back in impact or $3 back in impact, it's not so heavy. But if you spend $1 in sanitation, you can get like $5 to $20 in impact in return. And the social return on investment can be calculated very, very high, because when a person, you calculate the cost of illness, the loss of productive days when they are sick, or when their children are sick, and when a child dies, especially before 5 years old, how much is the cost of a life? It's a lot of pain and priceless. The other one is you lost tourism income when your toilet is no good,
Yeah.
or your river is dirty,
Yeah.
or you lost the land value appreciation. So sanitation is such a good economic driver, and we want people to know about that.
So can you tell us about, 4 Jack strategy, about dealing with bureaucracy and how it has, helped you influence systems more effectively? I mean, you have to teach us because bureaucracy eats into everything that you want to get into when you want to do good work.
Yeah, I get really angry with bureaucrats because they always say no, 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 everything is no, right? So I realized that when I visit them, I give them an innovative idea, they will activate 4 jack. The first jack is reject. Because when they reject, they don't have to do anything new. They don't have to take risks. They don't have to even spend time. And they don't have to answer their boss why they take up this new idea. So they said no. Then if you insist, they will activate the second jack called the eject. That means they say it's not their department. Then they send you running around other government department. And normally by that time, you already lost your energy and you give up and you just get angry with them and you don't want to do anymore. But if you still have further energy, you go back to him, you say, no, everybody say it is your department, you have to take charge. Then he will activate the third jack is called a deject. That means he make you feel dejected. He says, I don't say yes, I don't say no, don't call us, we'll call you. And he will make your battery flat, And then you left like 1% battery, you still want to fight, you go to the superior, you go to the secretary, you go to the minister. And if you so happen to convince the minister or the higher up, then he will activate the fourth jack. It's called hijack. He will suddenly say it's his idea.
Jack.
So, so what happened is after I learned this, and I went to the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy to study the master degree to understand how the bureaucrat mind works. So after I learned this, I say, oh, then in that case, I don't waste my time with the first 3 jack. I go directly to the minister or the secretary every time. I go to the chief minister, I go to the everybody that is high. And then when they say yes, then they delegate down and the top-down method works better in Asian countries and in developing countries, Africa, even in Latin America, Southeast Asia, India subcontinent is all the same. Even China
Yeah.
is like
The
that.
system is the same.
Yeah. So I think I just go to the top, and the moment it's delegate down, I say, now you can hijack me. It's your project. And then they take it.
God, Jack, you just made me laugh so much. So let's talk now about capacity building, like training sanitation workers and entrepreneurs. I mean, central to long-term impact. Why is capacity building so important?
So if you have a Swachh Bharat campaign and everybody have toilet, then nobody empty it. If you have public toilet, nobody cleans it. Then
Yeah.
it will fall into disrepair. So the most important thing is to train the people following the Swachh Bharat campaign to maintain and get everything working in order. There is also one particular problem in India where they get the Dalit to dive into the manhole. It's called a
Yeah.
sewer diver job. And this is very, very inhumane. This job is banned in India.
But there are people who die also with that. And,
Yeah.
almost every year we hear about these deaths that actually do not matter because it has become such a part and parcel of the life and the diverse economic, strata in our country. But yes, I know about this.
So what happened is that India is very contradictory. First, the law says this job is not allowed. Then every city has a budget to employ this person. So when you go to see the person dive into the man, he's immersed full of shit and
Yes.
his whole face is shit.
Yeah.
and he takes the plastic bottle and the straw
Yeah.
and the whatever
Yeah.
rubbish and he
Yeah.
put it on the ground,
Yeah.
and then he's given some alcohol and he dive in again. And
Yeah.
when you look at that, you cannot believe that a human being is doing
Yeah.
his job in this way. So
Yeah.
we train them to stand on the ground and put the machine down to catch the dirt and take it up. And then they wear protective gear. Because if they don't protect themselves from the toxic gas, they die average at the age of 45. And so this silver diver family sometimes is a sole breadwinner,
Breadwinner. Yeah.
and then the family is in trouble.
Yeah.
And sometimes their children also become the same job. So
Mhm.
we want to get them out of this poverty cycle. And the World Toilet College, we partner with Reckitt Bengkaiser Harpic, and we create the Harpic World Toilet College. And it's very, very successful. And we recently the program is over, but we want to create this in other states as well.
India has made, some major strides also in sanitation. It's not like the way it was in the past. So, what opportunities and challenges have you observed in your work, especially in India, through the World Toilet Colleges?
I saw that through since 2007, our world first toilet summit, World Toilet Summit in Delhi. We then went to a second one also in Bidimbawan. Then we do another third one in Mumbai at the Touch Lands End. And in between all the government project, all the other NGO working on it, it's everybody's effort. Today, having a toilet is an aspiration and it is an expectation. So I think that is a major change because the toilet must happen in your brain before it happen on the ground. And now it's in everybody's brain that we should have a toilet and we should clean it up. I went to China in 2004 when they were preparing for the Olympic Games. And they were so worried because their culture was also very, very bad. And we said there's no choice. You have to clean it up because when the whole world comes from the Olympics, you don't want to be embarrassed. So we took 4 years to renovate 6,600 public toilet blocks, and eventually, whole Olympics was a success. And
Wow.
Shanghai copy, when Beijing do, Shanghai must do, and then after that, Xi'an and Macau and Hainan, and then 20 years later, every tourism toilet in China is clean, and that makes their tourism income boom. I think India tourism have to do that.
True. So, your memoir speaks of leveraging other people's assets to create impact. So, what advice do you have to young change makers with big ideas but very, very limited resources? What is it that they can do?
Everybody can do a lot as long as they don't worry about who gets the credit. If they think it must be them, then it's very limited. If you are facilitating everybody else, it grow very, very fast. The second thing is as a young person, you might think of yourself as small and people don't believe you or you're not clever enough. So all these kind of negative thoughts, they are called imposter syndrome. You don't want to have this kind of thoughts. You just ask yourself, what can I do? What must be done? And go and do it. If you keep on thinking of yourself as a limited resource, you're just making yourself small, but you're not small or big. You are as much as you want to do. So try to love people, care about the mission, and don't care about yourself and don't be self conscious. You will realize that you can achieve a lot once you stop thinking about yourself.
Which is the toughest part. So, what leadership lessons have you learned, from working in a space that many people find very uncomfortable and, if I may use the word, unglamorous?
I think the first thing to do is to laugh at yourself and then let people laugh at you, and don't treat yourself as the center of the
The
whole
universe.
universe. Your mission is so much higher than you, and you have to do everything for the mission. And whether you get recognized or not, it's not important. The only person who recognizes you is you yourself. And when you saw that people's life improve, you tell yourself, good job. And that is the best reward. You don't wait for somebody to come and pat you on the back, because they may not come, and then you become disappointed for no reason. Anything that you rely on others is not reliable. You rely on yourself. And you keep going because you get so much joy in it, and then you will never be tired.
So, Jack, if you had 1 minute to speak to global leaders, what would be your most urgent message about sanitation?
The most thing urgent about sanitation is that you need to keep thinking of toilet and the culture around it as normal. My biggest wish is that everybody can start talking about going to the toilet and anything associated to it in a very normal way, as if they are talking about eating or drinking or playing golf or shopping, because it is something you do every day. And once the toilet subject become normal, then it will be like sex revolution. Normally in the past they cannot talk about sex, and now they discuss about it.
Yeah.
And I think understanding the subject makes you address the problem associated with it.
So, finally, for our listeners, what's that one meaningful way they can support or engage with the sanitation cause today?
Oh, there are many ways. One way is to volunteer your time, but please only come when you are very passionate, because if you come and volunteer because you want to get a good CV or pass examination, that's the wrong motivation. You have to come because you want to help society, right? Otherwise, you will consume my time also. But volunteer with your heart fully, and of course, we always have a donation site if you like. But one thing I would like you to tell everybody to do is to go and buy this book called The Gumption of Mr. Toilet by Penguin. It's very cheap in India to buy. In Singapore, America, books are always more expensive. And you read this book, The Gumption of Mr. Toilet, and you will realize that how to live a wholesome life, fulfilled with happy family, with romantic relationship with your spouse, and also with money, and also with meaning, and do everything because it's just a few thousand days and you have to do it well.
Thank you, Jack. It has left me so inspired, and thank you so much for taking out the time. So, for our listeners, from the shadows of taboo for the spotlight of global change, Jack Sim has shown us that real impact starts with real talk. And yes, sometimes even with a toilet. In this episode, if it has inspired you, share it with a friend, leave a review, and remember, flush the stigma, not the issue. Thank you so much, Jack, for being on today's episode. It's been an absolute honor to have you here with us.
Thank you very much.